Hello one and all, this is Soulful Lordy, James Bullock, once again with another video game first impressions. This time around, Saints Row for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PC, and Google Stadia. This is the 2022 reboot of the Saints Row game, the first game in the franchise since Saints Row Get Out of Hell. But unlike those previous games, this has nothing to do with the original Saints cast. You play as once again a created character with a very robust creative character system, and with your friends you decide that you want to begin a criminal empire when a job goes terribly wrong and 9 to 5 just isn't cutting it anymore. The basis of this iteration of Saints Row is pretty much rooted in more closely to Saints Row 3 and 4 in terms of gameplay than 1 and 2. A lot of the animations, a lot of the gunplay, and just the overall feel of this reboot actually feels so much like Saints Row 3 and Saints Row 4. So if you played those games, you're pretty much going to jump into this really knowing exactly what to do, how to handle enemies and gunfights. Now, there are some changes. That's the big thing about this game. Even though it does feel like Saints Row 3 and 4, there are some gameplay changes. Most importantly, those are connected to the skills and perks that are associated with the character. Perks are only unlocked by clearing certain challenges that are found on your cell phone, like buying a certain amount of clothes or getting a certain amount of airtime when you're flying off-road. As these challenges rack up, you are able to unlock perks such as being able to run faster when you're closer to death, or just generally being able to survive a lot better. You cannot stack all of these perks at one time, and these are all connected to the face buttons. In the case of the PlayStation 5 version that I'm playing, you have to hit the R1 button and then hit one of the face buttons to activate, like utilizing a smoke bomb. Now when it comes to skills, this is very different because skills are rooted in the leveling system of your actual character. As you complete missions, destroy enemies, do side hustles, you get experience points that eventually level up your character, which automatically unlock these skills. Now, only 4 skills at a time can be actually associated with your character. Now, one of the disappointing aspects about skills beyond the limited amount of times you can use them before they have to regenerate is the fact that throwable items like Molotovs and grenades and even proximity mines have now been solely associated with skills. Unlike the previous Saints Row games where you could actually buy grenades and the like at the Friendly Fire gun store, you cannot. They're only associated with the actual skills that I've seen thus far. And that is very unfortunate because one of the best things about Saints Row, for me personally, was being able to grab a whole bunch of grenades, buy a bunch of grenades, and throw them at enemies, especially when I'm trying to do mayhem. Another big gameplay change is the fact that while health does regenerate, the health bars are actually segmented. And if you are hit enough times, of course, that segmented area will go down and will only regenerate the health in the highest segmented bar. But if you want to fully restore your character's health, you have to perform takedowns. Now, takedowns are these melee attacks, in the case of the PlayStation controller, where you have to hit triangle. And when you hit triangle, your character will perform a melee attack that kills the enemy and restores your health. But of course, the takedown meter is on a cooldown system, so you have to wait a particular period of time before you can reactivate and utilize that takedown again. So you have to be very careful, because if you utilize it too early and a bunch of enemies come at you, you'll be lacking health and unable to fully restore it. And the cover system does you really no good, because a majority of the time I've crouched down behind cover thinking I was safe, and I still got popped in the head. So trying to hide behind a wall or hiding behind a bunch of boxes usually doesn't help you when you try to regenerate your health. Another big gameplay aspect that actually does return from the original Saints Row games is the ability to get money beyond the side hustles like flying helicopters to steal vehicles or doing off-road missions that are pretty much time trials. You can also perform certain stunts and abilities, or collecting various collectibles like drug pallets that will give you experience points and money. But the biggest thing to give you money is ventures, which are these businesses that you are able to unlock and eventually level up by completing various missions that gives you more money as the game progresses that I've seen thus far. And those are the biggest money makers when it comes to this game, and also in terms of completion to take over all of the city. Driving is a hit and miss for me. Certain cars are really floaty. The physics can be incredibly damning to you if you're trying to complete a mission, and then other times it'll be perfectly fine. One of the best additions when it comes to the driving mechanics is the ability to get on top of the hood of a car and shoot. This is really associated with one of the side hustles called riding shotgun, where you're able to get on the car and shoot at enemies while you're restoring the health of the car by destroying other cars and having to manage your own health. From a narrative perspective, I haven't gotten that far into the game yet. I know a lot of people have hated the characters, have hated the presentation of the general story. Thus far, I think it's pretty much average. I haven't been masterfully blown away by some of the characters. I haven't been greatly disappointed or disgusted by some of the actions, but I haven't gotten that far into the story to really make a good decision on that yet. But one thing I will say about the characters, specifically the protagonists, is the fact that the Saints, what we see so far in the first 4 or 5 hours of the game, are a group of people that we really don't understand or know, and they don't really give us a good reason as to why we should care about them. Beyond the main character you have of course created and probably have an emotional attachment to because that is your creation, his allies aren't given really any good screen time at the beginning of the game to establish why you should care about these characters, and most importantly, why you should care about their friendship. How did they become friends? Why are they the way they are? Why are they in the position that they are? And most importantly, why are they associated with certain gangs that are now gunning for your crew? Once again, I haven't gotten that far into the game. Maybe they answer a lot of these questions. Maybe they don't. But as of this time, about 4 to 5 hours into the story, I will say they haven't done the best of jobs to make me think like, oh, they are really going to give these characters a lot of depth. Technically, one of the biggest flaws about this game has to be the glitches. I've had so many random glitches happen in this game thus far, be it just random NPCs getting stuck in the world, to one moment that was really odd where the game thought I was jumping. So the camera swayed and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't pull out guns, I couldn't jump, I couldn't really run. I just was stuck in this loop until I restarted the game. But I've actually had some funny positive glitches as well. Like one of my vehicles, when I was trying to do a drop off, actually exploded right when I got to the mission goal, and it counted as a successful mission, which was incredible because usually in these type of games, including previous Saints Row, if your car gets destroyed, even if you make it to that point, it will say mission failed. Overall, thus far, Saints Row for me is not as terrible of a game as people have made it out to be. But once again, I haven't gotten that far. Once again, these are first impressions. But there have been some lacking features, especially when it comes to stuff like grenades being removed and associated with skills, but also positive things like being able to shoot from the roof of a car. But even without the glitches, even without the story being fully told to me thus far because of how long I've played, from a gameplay perspective, this feels like another Saints Row game. And for better or for worse, it doesn't feel remarkable, and that's the most disappointing part about this game. Beyond a different setting, instead of feeling like a real step forward and something that is dramatically different while still having the essence of what a Saints Row game is, this just feels like a Saints Row game stuck in the year 2011, instead of a Saints Row game that has been updated and improved upon and made something special for 2022 while still being a Saints Row game. I don't know how you really could do that in this day and age, especially considering how much we've seen in open world experiences and really the progression of narratives and the way characters are presented. But from a perspective of someone who's played all the Saints Row games and loved a majority of them, this just feels like another game instead of something truly special and something that could stand out as a Game of the Year contender, instead of something that will more than likely be forgotten about until Black Friday when it's on sale for about $20 to $30. And for me personally, that's pretty much the best time to buy it, is when it has enough time to get some patches, hopefully, fix a lot of the bugs and glitches, and most importantly, doesn't costs $60 to $70. So there you have it. This has been Soulful Lordy. James Bullock, once again, with another video game first impressions. Saints Row for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, Google Stadia, and PC. Now, if you don't mind, my boss, pretty much me, has decided that I want to start the best criminal empire ever. But that's only if I can get out of this bed and get me a waffle. And if this waffle doesn't toast, I will have no choice but to say, oh lordy.